welcome to the Breakfast Show on Faith FM with Skafy and Elliot. This is the best place to start your day with positive and uplifting thoughts.
You're listening all across Australia on 87.6, 87.8 or 88 depending on where you are, or you can listen to us through our Faith FM app anywhere in the world.
And today, if you are listening live, it's Friday the 22nd of May 2026. I am in the studio in Cooranbong, New South Wales with my mate Elliot and our friend, producer Sandy is back with us today.
Yes,
Good morning
I am.
to
Hi.
you, Sandy. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Sandy is back here, and she's matching. She's matching. Her pullover is matching with her water bottle, and both are in a lavender tones here. So I can smell the lavender, feeling the studio already.
Relaxing.
Oh, dude, I actually love the smell of lavender. I think it's great. Some people are not a big fan, but I love it. I reckon it's awesome.
So that's your gratitude for today, lavenders.
I actually have a different gratitude
Yeah, shoot it.
for today. You want to? Okay, I'll tell you. My gratitude for today is that my windscreen wipers have fixed themselves while I was driving here.
Fix themselves.
Yeah.
Very
See,
helpful.
my windscreen wipers for a while had been wiping not very well, especially like where I'm looking out of my windscreen. It just doesn't wipe clearly. So there's always like smudged water there, just not clear. And today I was like, I wonder if I can fix it by just blasting. No. Well, I did pray, but I was also like, if I blast the wipers, like, so they're just going back and forwards really fast, can the friction like kind of adjust the rubber of the wipers so that it makes it work better? And lo and behold, it did. And now my wipers are actually working a lot better. So I'm very thankful for
Wow,
that.
praise God for that. That's a great one. I am grateful for springtails.
Springtails.
Do you know what springtails are?
I do not.
They're tiny little creatures. They're arthropods. They're kind of like tiny little white, transparentish ants, but like really, really tiny.
So tails, Tails, not
Yeah.
Tales.
No,
Okay.
with tail
Yep.
like in
Yep.
tails, springtails.
Gotcha.
So they're this tiniest little insect, and they're absolutely amazing. So I am trying to start a little colony of them because I want to add them to my terrarium. It's not only because it looks nice to see them walking around and doing their
Yep.
thing, but because they are great to keep the health of the terrarium because they eat decomposing matter, they eat mold, so they keep your terrarium really healthy.
Do you know where you can get them from?
Oh yeah, look, I bought them online.
Oh, okay. There
From
you
a
go.
dealer. You can call them
Dealer.
there from a dealer, from a secret dealer. And then after that, but okay, they are expensive. I paid $10 plus $10 postage. So that's $20
There you go.
for like a tiny little container tub of them. But you know what? Now I'm going to be creating my own colony because I don't want to spend that money for them
I want
again.
to spend another $20.
No, and you know what? It's very easy. You just add a couple of grains of rice, like 2 or 3 grains of rice every couple of days, and they're happy.
Wow.
Don't need to take them for a walk.
That's
Don't need
probably the cheapest pet
the cheapest
as far as
pet
feeding it you
yeah,
could ever get.
That's right.
2
So I'm
grains of
very
rice.
grateful for springtails, one of these little wonders that God has made. What about you, producer Sandy? What are you grateful for today?
I love the rain. I love the rain, and I love being snuggled up at night and, waking
Yeah.
up during the night, listening to the rain, and it's just all cozy.
It's
so
very
yeah,
cozy.
That is true.
Yeah, that's what
That
I
is
like.
very
That's what
true.
I'm grateful for.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what about you, radio friend? What are you grateful for? Text us here to 0491 064 Let us rejoice and be grateful for your gratitudes. We are going to have a great show ahead of us today. We are going to be talking about in our first hour in our More Like Him, how to actually see angels.
Wow.
Then in our good news segment, my friend Elliot is going to tell us that Mona Lisa, yes, the famous picture, she's being moved. We're going to find out where to, so you can visit her. In our current news, I'm going to be talking about the new tallest Jesus statue in the world, and it's surrounded by controversies. In our interview today, did God command the killing of children? Well, we're going to be throwing that curveball to Brad Moody today at 7:35 a.m. You cannot miss that interview.
Yeah.
And finally, in our encounter with God, we're going to be talking about the faith of Jesus. What does the Bible mean when it talks about the faith of Jesus? Well, that and much more in today's show.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
What is our prayer city today, Mr. Elliot?
It is Nashville,
Nashville, Tennessee. Let me tell you a few things about Nashville, Tennessee that you
Nashville,
probably don't know.
Tennessee.
So Nashville, Tennessee, did you know that they have an exact and the world's only full-scale replica of the Greek Parthenon.
Really?
Yeah. So they call it the Athens of the South. Like an exact replica.
Wow. I actually did not
It's
know that at all.
massive.
I knew that Nashville is famous for its music. Like it's very, very famous for country music and all that kind of stuff. But didn't know that they had a replica.
And they even had like a massive 42-foot tall statue of Athena.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, inside of that temple thing.
Oh, that's pretty intense.
The kinds of
There you
things you
go.
find in the United States. And the other interesting thing about them is that they have like a very famous spicy dish, which is like a fried chicken with cayenne pepper, like really spicy.
Ooh.
And it was created when the girlfriend or the wife of a man called Thornton Prince, she caught him cheating on her.
Oh.
So she wanted to punish him. And when she prepared fried chicken for him, she just loaded with cayenne pepper.
Yeah, right.
Good for her.
The problem is he loved it. Then he opened up a business and became a millionaire selling
Wow.
fried chicken with cayenne pepper. So there you go. That's
Okay.
all in Tennessee.
That's
Nashville,
incredible.
Tennessee.
Yeah, there you
From
go.
cayenne pepper to Greek
Yeah.
replicas.
Yeah.
It's an interesting city. We're praying that
There
the
you
gospel
go.
will reach all the far corners
Absolutely.
of that town. Well, before we get into our Bible study, and what do we do if you want to see angels?
Yeah.
We are going to ask our dear producer Sandy to give us perhaps a spicy quiz question this morning. Is this like
Yeah.
lots of cayenne pepper loaded or
Not much
not really?
spice for our first question this
All right.
morning. It is a true or false, and it goes like this. Mark is the longest of the four Gospels. True or false? Mark is the longest of the four Gospels. True or false? Send us your answers to 0491 064 669. 0491 064 669. Correct answers from Elliot and Skafy. Mark is the longest of the four Gospels. True or false? Listeners, send us your answers. Let us know that we are not the only ones awake at this time of the morning. That'd be
That's
great.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
it's good to know. I mean, it's raining outside. It's extra dark. It's a very friendly environment if you do want to sleep in. But again, it's a Friday, so not everybody has the luxury of sleeping in on a Friday. And if you do, well, God, good on you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love sleeping in.
Now, have you ever seen an angel with your very own eyes, Mr. Elliot?
I don't think I actually have. Or maybe I have and I just didn't realize it was an angel. Maybe they were in
Yeah, sometimes.
human,
Human form can
but
happen.
I've never seen something that I reckon looks very much like an angelic being, glowing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, I
What
don't think I
about
have.
you, producer Sandy? Have you?
I have not seen an angel, but I believe I have had an angel play music with me.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so just one time, excuse me,
Tell us that story.
one time after church, I went back into church just to play the piano quietly by myself, and I heard very quietly the organ going as well. So,
Wow.
yeah, it was
Wow.
quite an experience. Yeah, just for
Amazing.
a
That is
short,
really
short
cool.
amount of time, but yeah.
That is incredible. There
That
you
is
go.
awesome.
Look, I cannot say that I have seen an angel in their actual angelic form in
Yeah.
front of me either. But so Skafy, how are you going to be teaching us how to see angels? Well, wait and you'll see. If I said that I'm going to show you how to see angels, I'm going to show you how to see angels. But angels can be very hard to see. Well, number one, because they inhabit what I like to call like a spiritual dimension.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Bible verses that indicate that. This is why angels are able to, for example, get inside, in and outside of buildings that are completely locked.
Yeah.
They have access to a dimension that we don't. In physics, they call it the fourth dimension. Oh, but isn't the fourth dimension time? No, the fourth dimension is not time. The fourth spatial dimension I'm talking about here.
There you go.
Not the time, because time is a dimension that is underlying every single dimension. You always have time. So
Yeah.
that's it. Anyway, that's a little bit of a different conversation. If you are a physics nerd, we can talk about that. But
Yeah.
I remember one day, talking about elusive things. I went once trying to spot an owl.
Right.
So I went to a place called the Hunter Wetlands. It's kind of like a park, national park, a reserve, big area here down in Newcastle. And, I went with a couple of friends. It was at night. So, we're going to see if we can spot some owls, see which
right.
owls we can spot. And, we were walking around in the bush for like at least a couple of hours. You know, some of the ladies that were in our search party, they said, you know what, I'm just settling for a crowie at this point in time, or for a flying fox.
Yeah.
And, you know, we actually ended up seeing the blessed owl after like 2 or 3 hours. We saw it, but, you know, it was not a grand scene. It was just like we saw it from the back and just like flying off. And
okay.
we captured a glimpse of it, just
Right.
enough to know, oh, the owl is there. We couldn't see. With angels, a little bit like that. I think it's just a very difficult thing to see, except when you have the right tools. Now, if on that day I had some kind of thermal vision goggles or devices,
Yeah.
I am sure it would be so much easier to spot that owl. I know
Definitely.
exactly where it was because I'll be looking at, you know, the darkness and see just this glowing red spot glowing in my screen.
Yeah.
But I didn't. However, there are such a thing as spiritual thermal vision goggles if you want. And we're going to be looking at a Bible story that talks all about that today. So we are going to open up our Bibles in 2 Kings chapter 6, and we're going to be reading it from verse 8. So please, Elliot, whenever you're ready,
Okie dokie.
fire it up.
It says, Now the king of Syria was making war against Israel, and he consulted with his servants, saying, My camp will be in such and such a place. And the man of God sent to the king of Israel, saying, Beware that you do not pass this place, for the Syrians are coming down there. Then the king of Israel sent someone to the place of which the man of God had told him. Thus he warned him, and he was watchful there, not just once or twice. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was greatly troubled by this thing, and he called his servants and said to them, Will you not show me which of us is for the king of Israel? And one of his servants said, None, my lord, O king, but Elisha the prophet who is in Israel tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom.
Okay, let's talk about that initial scene here. What's happening?
Interesting. It seems like the king of Syria is trying to booby trap king of Israel. He's trying to set him up, you know.
It's called an ambush.
Yeah.
It's trying to
an
ambush him.
Hiding out, you know, camping out and trying to find if he can see the king passing by and then go out and ambush him.
That's right. It's usually in a bottleneck place, perhaps you know, in a valley between two mountains, and then you wait for the king to go so far, and then you basically surround him by all sides and you can take him on. And again, you know, we mentioned that before. Syria and Israel, they were in this situation thanks to the unfaithfulness of Ahab.
Yeah,
God had given the king of Damascus into the hands of Ahab before, and Ahab decided, I'm not going to do anything. And the king of Damascus was again and again, they were always conspiring against the kings of Israel.
Yeah.
It was just like a bit of sometimes they were at peace, but you know, kind of always suspecting one another.
Yeah.
To times like full on, like where one party was trying to provoke Israel into war. So they are trying to set up this ambush, and then they realize, hey, and I imagine that they would have spies that would have reported saying, hey, the king of Israel passes through that location regularly.
That would make sense.
You know, and this is why like security experts tell us, Elliot, like normal people, never to take the exact same route to work, the exact same time every day, because if someone wants to ambush you, they can.
They can see you every time.
Yeah, it's good. So they change the routes, maybe change the time. Some days you leave a bit earlier, sometimes you leave a little bit late, and so on.
Interesting.
So they had someone telling, and then when the king was ready, his ambush was ready, guess what? The king of Israel was not going through there. And that happened not only once, not only twice, but multiple times.
Yeah.
And the king of Aram says, like, hey, what's going on here? Who's spying on behalf of the king of Israel?
Yeah. Yeah. Who's revealing all this stuff to him?
And then one of his servants, and I'm going to ask you to try to guess which one of these servants were, says, no, my lord, it's not, none of us are betraying you. It's because of a man called Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel. He tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom in secret.
Yeah.
He has supernatural abilities. Who do you think that servant was that knew Elisha so well?
I actually don't know.
Look, the Bible doesn't say, but I have a very strong suspicion it was a man named Naaman.
Right.
If he hadn't retired yet, that would explain it.
That would explain it, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Because he already knows about Elisha. Like he'd
Yeah.
just been healed by him not too long ago. So, yeah, that's fascinating, actually.
I think it was Naaman.
Fascinating.
I mean, there's a good chance that it was him. May not be. Maybe someone that Naaman told the story about.
Yeah.
And that gives me hope as well. Because Naaman, if it was Naaman, how did they know that the prophet Elisha knows what people think or say, even when they're not there? And there is this, remember that in the story of Naaman, Gehazi, the servant of Elisha,
Yeah.
he sneakily went to talk to Naaman and say, hey, can you give me some money? Because, my master is asking. And Naaman gave him the money.
Yeah.
And then Elisha unmasked him because God revealed to him exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
So I think that somehow that story of Gehazi's leprosy, look, he became wealthy man relatively. He was leprous, and I think that story really made the rounds around the ancient world. So I think that Naaman heard about Gehazi later on. These guys are, they were spies. They had intelligence. They had people telling them what's going on.
Yeah.
They're bringing the news from foreign lands. They're bringing the news from important people. I think that it's not impossible that Naaman would have heard of what happened to Gehazi, and then he would have connected, Gehazi, he tricked me into paying me.
Yeah.
Which was a good thing because he realized, wow, the Elisha the prophet did not profit
Yeah.
from my healing at all.
Yeah. That's true.
So God made a way to
That's true.
to sustain the testimony there. But that's the story here. So we don't know if it's Naaman, if it's someone that learned about Elisha from Naaman. But I think that Naaman is somehow involved in that story. I mean, he just came in the chapter before anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that would make sense. It would
Wouldn't
make
it?
sense. Yeah. That's it. There you
So
go.
let's read from verse 13.
Okay. It says, so he said, go and see where he is, that I may send and get him. And it was told him, saying, surely he is in Dothan. Therefore he sent horses and chariots and a great army there, and they came by night and surrounded the city. And when the servant of the man of God arose early and went out, there was an army surrounding the city with horses and chariots. And his servant said to him, alas, my master, what shall we do? So he answered, do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them.
Okay, this is one of my favorite Bible passages.
This is a cool Bible passage.
Isn't it? So there's the king of Aram sent this army that's surrounding the city at night. So again, he's very sneaky.
Yeah.
He's always using the cover of darkness and of ambush to get around Israel. He wanted the element of surprise,
Yeah.
which in this case wouldn't really be a big element of surprise because, now they know that Elisha, like God would be revealing these things to Elisha. And then what did Elisha's servant do on that morning? He woke up earlier and then what?
He woke up and he realized we're surrounded.
We're surrounded.
We are surrounded.
Master, alas, what do we do? We are surrounded.
Yeah.
What shall we do? And Elisha, with all the patience of the world, says, hey, it's okay. Chill out.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid,
Relax, man.
because those who are with us are more than those who are with them. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, I'm assuming, if, for example, if I was putting myself in the position of the servant, I would be like, what do you mean there are more of us than there are of them? Like what? Like all of us inhabitants of the city? Like
Tiny village.
Is that what you're talking about? Is it just us, the sons of the prophets?
He'd be scratching his head,
yeah, I'd
right?
be like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, there's not more of us.
Well, let's see what Elisha is going to do then. Verse
Okay.
17.
It says, and Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray, open his eyes that he may see. Then the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha.
Right.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Man, try to be in the position of that servant. You're freaking out. Let's say that you're in a street somewhere. Let's say in a dangerous country,
Yeah.
and you're walking around, and then you see yourself surrounded by angry men
Yeah.
using weapons, and you're thinking, "Uh-oh, I'm gonna be beaten pretty badly today."
Yeah.
But imagine if God could open up your eyes and you see all around you a circle of heavily fortified angels, 3 to 4 meters tall,
Yeah.
and they're just like looking threatening and menacing to the men that are trying to
Yeah. And not only that, but they're like on fire. Like they're
on fire,
alight.
fully armed, and you're just like, wow, how would you feel? What would be the
I don't even know. Hey, I would just be like, what is happening? Like, what am I looking at right now?
I'll be kind of like, have you watched that movie, The Matrix?
Yeah.
I'll be like kind of, when Neo and Morpheus, they were fighting the Kung Fu scene.
Yeah.
And then Morpheus or Neo, I think, they stand their hand and with their 2 fingers, they say, kind of, come at me. You can come. I'm
Yeah.
ready. I'm ready for you.
Yeah.
I think we'd kind of be kind of feeling like that.
That would be, yeah, true. I reckon it'd
Like,
just,
you wouldn't be afraid.
I don't know. I think I'd just be stunned to see that because, like, you never see that. So if you're just there and you think you're going to die because there's all these guys that are looking menacing, they're after you, and then you open your eyes again, lo and behold, now there's these 3 to 4 meter tall beings of light that are just like fully guarded up, fully armored, and they're all like surrounding you now to protect you. I would just be like, just completely stunned in awe, I reckon. I would have no idea what to do. I'd just be like, oh, just frozen.
And this is the point of these passages that I want to be exploring. I'm going to be looking into that passage further, but this is a point here for us. Angels are around us all the time.
Yeah.
We're just not aware of it because we are doing our thing here. But if we pray to the Lord to open the eyes, our spiritual eyes, through faith, we can see that we're not alone. The Bible says that the angels of God encamp around those who love Him.
Yeah.
So this is a promise. If you are someone that loves God, God has His own cohort of angelic bodyguards around you to guard you, to protect you, anywhere. So if something happens, it's because God allowed to happen. If God allows to happen, it's okay. It means that it's going to be end at the end.
Yeah.
But nothing is going to no evil shall befall you, the Bible says in Psalm 91, except if God allows it to. Meaning that the randomness of violence and so on, God is shooting us day and night.
Yeah.
And that's the I think that the beauty of that passage here. So one way to remember this is this: you plus God are always the majority.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
It's now the time to the answer for the quiz question. Sandy wanted to know which one was the longest or the smallest of the Gospels. So she asked about the Gospel of Mark, if it's the longest one.
The longest. And the answer was false. It is actually the shortest. Correct answers coming in from Janelle and Davo this morning.
Which is the longest?
Which is the longest?
Is it Luke?
I actually think
Or
it's
is it
Matthew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question. Well, bonus points if anyone can message us in and tell us what is the longest book of the Bible.
No, actually, you were right. It's the Luke.
There you go.
Luke has 9. I thought about numbers of chapters. I think Matthew is 28 chapters. Luke is 24 chapters. However, in terms of words,
And verses.
Luke, yes, and verses, Luke has 19,482 words.
Okay.
Versus 18,345 words from Matthew. So Luke has 1,151 verses, and Matthew 1,071 verses. So they're about 70 verses.
Difference.
Yeah,
Okay.
difference.
There we
There
are.
you go.
And the Gospel of John has about 15,000 words on the dot.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
very
And Mark,
precise.
only 11,000 words.
Well, you can sometimes get your message through succinctly, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark I actually like Mark because it's,
It's
very
very-
concise. It's just,
Boom,
boom, this happened, this
boom,
happened,
boom,
this
boom.
happened.
Action packed.
Yeah.
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 From,
I like
from
it
this
too.
to this to this.
All
Yeah.
of them have a bit of a glory. I enjoy reading through Mark when I am studying the Bible with someone for the first time. You say, let's just read through Mark. And we just
Yeah.
do like one chapter at a time. And we have a nice, great overview
Yep.
Yeah.
of the life of Jesus.
And actually, by the way, if anyone is wanting to learn more about the Gospels especially, we actually have a giveaway for you, which is the book Messiah. This is an awesome book all about the life of Jesus and
so
the different stories and the different miracles that he's done. And so if you would like a copy of this, send us in hashtag Messiah to 0491 064 669. We can get that to you completely for free.
Yeah.
Hashtag Messiah,
is one of the-
0491 064 669.
Now, I was just going to say, this is one of the best books out there
Yeah.
about the biography of Jesus, goes through the Gospels and explains, and it's
Yeah.
really amazing read. So, yeah, take the
Gives
advantage
you a lot
of
of
that.
historical context as well. As
It does.
what was happening at the time. Yeah.
It helps to fill up
That's
the
awesome.
gaps that sometimes we don't know straight
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Absolutely does.
Yeah, but it really paints the picture. I love books that help you to paint a vivid image
Yeah.
or like having a little movie
Yeah.
playing on your mind.
Mental movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
this
love it
is
as
one
well.
of these books. All right, producer Sandy, what is question number 2, please?
Quiz question number 2. Paul, Timothy, and what other person wrote the first letter to the Thessalonians? Paul, Timothy, and what other person wrote the first letter to the Thessalonians? 0491064669. Our listeners can send their answers. Elliot has a correct answer. Skafy is
Elliot, you-
scratching
Wow.
his head.
That was
Thinking, Skafy. For our listeners
that
again,
was a bit of a wild guess, but
Paul, Timothy, and what other
lucky one.
person wrote the first letter to the Thessalonians?
Look, I'm going to give,
0491064669.
I have 2 guesses here. Tell me if it's some of these, any one of these 2 here, Sandy.
Okay. No, neither of those are correct, Skafy.
Okay, what about
I feel
this
like this
guy?
is a historical first.
Nope.
What
Yeah,
about
this is very unusual for Skafy. Normally he's like
Yeah.
bang off
this
the
one?
Who even is that?
I'm just trying names. I tried Mark, it wasn't correctly. I tried Barnabas, not correct.
Yeah.
I tried Titus. I tried Archippus even.
Wow.
I got Archippus out of
Who-
my
so-
head. Archippus is one of these random people that Paul mentions in his letters.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. This
Yeah, when
one's-
you- when
this
you-
one is a little bit more famous. Yes. Let me give the question one more time for our listeners.
Yeah.
Paul, Timothy, and what other person wrote the first letter to the Thessalonians? 0491064669. Send us your answer. See if you can get it right before Skafy does.
There
Okay.
you go.
All righty.
How the tables have turned, man.
Yeah, no, man, the world spins around.
This is
That's-
a nice thing to come into this morning.
Yeah. when you hear the answer, you'll be like, oh, of course.
That's cool. All right, man. I have to learn.
There you go.
Let's get back into our Bible study here.
Okay.
You plus God are always the majority, Elliot. Isn't that a nice
That
thing
is
to
awesome.
think about? Like you and God, like you're always the majority. You don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
And Elisha showed that to his servant. And I think that we will do very well in reminding ourselves that we are also constantly surrounded by angels.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because that's something that, like, I think a lot of the time, like, I will go throughout my day completely in ignorance of that fact, you know. But it is such an interesting thing to know that actually, yeah, there are always angels around us, protecting us, looking after us.
They're protecting us from dangers unknown to us.
Yeah.
They're protecting us from dangers known to us. We've seen it many times. I mean, I've been delivered so many times from like car accidents, and accidents in general, or even attempts against my life. Many times. I think I should probably, if it wasn't for the angels, I probably should have died like 7 or 8 times already. Easy.
Yeah.
Tell the story. I think that my story is definitely not unique. A lot of people can attest to that. So I'm confident that even if something happens to me, well, because God allowed, if God allowed, well, I'll trust in Him.
Yeah.
But that means that I can actually go without being afraid.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the story doesn't end there. Let's see what's going to happen right after that scene where the servant of Elisha was seeing the spiritual reality of God's protection around them. Verse 18.
Okay. It says, so when the Syrians came down to him, Elisha prayed to the Lord and said, strike this people, I pray, with blindness. And he struck them with blindness according to the word of Elisha.
Yeah, can I just pause here? Just want to make a little comment here. I found one thing fascinating here, and if you want to do any further studies, I think that you will be really blessed with that. We're seeing here a game here, or an irony, I guess. In one hand, Elisha is saying to his servant, God, open his eyes. But
Yeah.
then to the enemies of God, Elisha is saying, God, close their eyes, turn them blind. Jesus actually talks about that a lot,
Yeah, right.
particularly in the Gospel of John, when he's healing a man that was born blind. He said, well, the man that was born blind was able to see that Jesus was the Messiah, where the Pharisees, who could see very well, actually they could see the scriptures.
Yeah.
They were blind to the most important spiritual reality, that Jesus was the Messiah.
Yeah. That's true.
And Jesus said to them, oh, you say you're not blind? Like, you're blind. So Jesus plays with that a lot. There's a big analogy about physically being able to see, but having spiritual vision.
Yeah.
And God says, look, it's better for you to be blind of both of your eyes than to have both of your eyes with perfect vision but be spiritually blind.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, walking blind people right there. Well, they can see the world around them, but they can't see the things that really matter, the spiritual things.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting
It
thing?
is very.
And that theme is going to appear in that story once again. So he's basically asking God to struck them with blindness. And guess what? God did according to the prayer of Elisha.
Yeah.
So all of this massive army around them, we do not know, but we can easily think hundreds, if not thousands of soldiers, all blind, just like that.
That would be, imagine if you were the soldier in that situation and you're ready, you're on guard, you're ready to go and gather up Elisha, right? Like you're ready to go and
Now you're
attack him.
defenseless.
And then all of a sudden, as you're there waiting, boom, you're just all of a sudden blind. Like,
All black.
where did the sun go? Like, you just be like, what on earth? And you can just imagine all of them like just trying to feel like, what is going on? Like, are you?
Yeah.
It'd be
And
such
dismounting
a
the
strange,
horses,
Yeah.
like just being very scared.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that a lot of these soldiers said, I knew it wouldn't be a good idea to go after God's prophet. I knew it. I told everyone. Nobody wanted to listen to me. I knew it was a bad idea.
Yeah. It's probably likely that they go, oh man.
I told you I should have called in sick that day.
Yeah. Dude, that's so funny.
Yeah, they're afraid. But let's see what's going to happen now, because I think that the story here is really incredible. Let's read verse 19.
Okay. Verse 19 says, Now Elisha said to them, This is not the way, nor is this the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man whom you seek. But he led them to Samaria. So it was, when they had come to Samaria, that Elisha said, Lord, open the eyes of these men, that they may see. And the Lord opened the eyes, and they saw, and they were inside Samaria. Now when the king of Israel saw them, he said to Elisha, My father, shall I kill them? Shall I kill them? But he answered, You shall not kill them. Would you kill those whom you have taken captive with your sword and your bow? Set food and water before them, that they may eat and drink and go to their master. Then he prepared a great feast for them, and after they ate and drank, he sent them away, and they went to their master. So the bands of Syrian raiders came no more into the land of Israel.
Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting. First thing that comes across my mind is, how did they go about leading each other all the way back to Samaria? Was it like a big, long conga line, hands on top of each other's shoulders, and then they're just like following the lead? Because they're all blind. I wonder how they went about doing it. And I love how Elisha's like, hey, you're actually in the wrong spot. Like the guy you're trying to find, Elisha, you're actually in the wrong spot. Let me show you where he actually is. And meanwhile, it's Elisha who is leading them to find him. Like it's so funny. It just seems like something straight out of like a comedy movie or like a cartoon, that they just all of a sudden become blind, and then the guy they're seeking is now the one who is leading them somewhere else. Like it just seems like a Bugs Bunny kind of moment, I reckon it's so amusing and fascinating at the same time.
I think it's fascinating. And look, I do not know how exactly they were led, if maybe pulling a rope or just like, as you mentioned, like doing a Congo line. Is that how you call it?
Yeah, conga line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what else happened in that city of Dothan?
What else happened?
It comes up in the story of Joseph. This is where Joseph found his brothers, and where his brothers, threw him into a pit,
Right.
and then eventually
Was
led
it
him
this
to
city?
slavery. Yeah, it was the same place. Same
Yeah,
town.
there you go.
And I'm looking here, and the distance between Dothan to Samaria, it's about 16 to 20 kilometers. You have
Okay.
to do it's a significant march.
That's quite a while to be walking blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And when he gets there, the king is asking, again, you have to understand, the king of Samaria, he did not like Elisha. Elisha did not like the man. They had, a beef. This king was not a righteous king. But
Okay.
again, now in facing that incredible deliverance here, what is it that he's calling Elisha? My father.
Yeah.
Oh, how the world changes.
Yeah.
We have, Elliot, beating Skafy up here in the quiz questions. We have the king of Israel all of a sudden calling Elisha my father.
Yeah.
Well, so that was a testimony to the king of Israel as well. Another testimony. Look how God loves that king, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that king was, so hardened in his heart, and then, he heals Naaman
Yeah.
and takes him out of trouble.
True.
Because if God wanted to set up a trap against the king, he could just very easily say to Elisha, don't heal Naaman.
Yeah.
Naaman will come back, and guess who was going to be to blame, according to in the eyes of the Syrian king? The king of Israel.
Yeah.
So the king of Israel now, he's seeing the army, and he's asking, my father, how should I kill him? And there is this what do you make of this passage here? I find it interesting. Elisha responded and said, would you kill those you have taken captive with your sword and with your bow?
Yeah. That's an interesting one, actually. I'm not quite sure, but I'm kind of thinking my initial thought is the examples of prisoners of war that we have from World War II, World War I and World War II, where it's the people, they took them captive, they didn't necessarily kill them, but they just used them as slaves.
Yeah, look, in theory, and this is, I guess your mind and mine went to the same place here.
Yeah.
I think that this is an ancient unspoken rule of combat where, look, if you're fighting a person and they surrender and you capture them, you don't kill them.
Yeah.
If they surrender, don't kill them. Now, throughout history, we know that it's often the case that powers don't really respect that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Because there's a thing as well. If you start killing the captives of the other people, well, they're going to be killing the people that they take captives from your army as well. And nobody wants that. And in the end of the day, you want to have a bit of a prisoner swap.
Yeah.
So you say, look, if you wouldn't kill them if you had captured them yourself, are you going to kill them knowing that they're not your prisoners?
Yeah.
They're the Lord's prisoners. And guess how God wants you to treat your enemies, the people that came for you. Loving them,
Yeah.
doing the right thing by them. So go and serve them a banquet. Go and
Yeah.
serve them the best of the food that you have.
Which is fascinating, I reckon, because if you were wanting to quell any kind of anger or animosity towards each other, the kings that were against each other, if you wanted to try and solve that issue, this is probably the perfect way to do that. By being I have all of your men here, your whole army is now in my possession, but instead of killing them, I will feed them and give them water to drink and then send them back to you. If I was the king of Syria, I'd be okay, fair play. Let's call this whole thing off. That would be my first instinct.
Okay, you don't mess with the God of Israel.
Yeah.
Just out of bounds. We'll see here that the king of Syria was not content with that. He's going to come back and he's going to attack again. But what it looks like here from verse 23, it says here that the marauding bands of the Arameans did not come again into the land of Israel.
Yeah.
It looks like this army, it was not the regular army of Syria, but it was more like a militia.
Ah, there you go. Okay.
So they probably had militias that were subservient to the king, but somewhat independent.
Yeah.
They would do raids, kind of like the Houthis are for the Iranians today, like a proxy.
Right.
Or Hezbollah or, Hamas and so on. They're not Iranian forces, but they were backed by Iran.
Yeah. Kind of like rogue forces sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
kind of semi-independent. And this is the exact type of force that it's looking now. And guess what? When Israel captured them and showed them love and sympathy, they kind of rebelled against their king and said, you know what, we're not fighting against Israel anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of like, imagine if the Houthis, to use an example, they went to Israel, they captured them, like they got blind. Israel just treats them very, very well. And they said, you know what? They come back to the Iran and says, you know what? We're retiring. We're not going to be terrorizing the Israelis anymore. We're not doing it.
The other thing I think as well with that is like, let's say, for example, that I was one of those Syrian raiders and I've been fed the information that Israel is bad. Like, I'm assuming if I'm from Syria, I've probably been told Israel's bad, the king of Israel's bad. That's why we're at war with them, because they're the bad guys.
Okay.
And then if I go and all of a sudden this whole thing happens, I'm blinded, I'm led into Samaria, and all of this happens, I would assume actually what I've been told is a lie. So why then go back and fight them? Like, they're actually the good guys.
And the good thing as well is that like, love arises love. From love generates love.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
We spoke about you plus God are always the majority.
Yeah.
So you can walk in confidence. You know, the battle belongs to the Lord. If you're feeling overwhelmed or outnumbered by problems or position, fear, the fact is when God is in our sides, the odds are never against us.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to live your life. And if you'd like to learn more about how is it that God is always on your side, you've got to read this book called Messiah by Jerry D. Thomas. It is a paraphrase of a classic book called The Desire of Ages. And it is a book that will tell you the story of Jesus from beginning to end. He will going to be, it's a book that you read side by side with the Gospels.
Yeah.
But it will fill up a lot of the gaps there, the background information, historical information. It's going to bring some practical spiritual applications. It is an incredible book, probably one of the best books you can read before you go to bed.
Yeah.
You know, you can go, before you go to bed, you read one page or two. That will be enough to generate some really sweet sounding sleep for your life. You're going to be meditating in beautiful heavenly realities that are very practical. If you'd like to get a copy of that one, this is a pocket-sized book, so you can chuck it in your bag, in your purse, leave it in your car, and you can read it whenever you have the chance. You can read it bit by bit. Doesn't need to be read all in one sit, but if that's your thing, you can do that as well. It's very easy to get that book here. There's no competition. There's no price to pay. The price has been paid by Jesus, and the code word is #Messiah. To 0491 064 669, #Messiah to 0491 064 669. We want you to be blessed and to be a blessing. That's why we're able to afford and to distribute these incredible resources here every day. Now we're going to get the microphone back to Sandy, who will in turn reveal to us the answer to the quiz question that I did not know.
Paul, so the question was, Paul, Timothy, and what other person wrote the first letter to the Thessalonians? And the answer is Silas.
Oh, really?
Silas, Paul
was
and
involved.
Silas, the famous singing duo.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Paul, Silas, and
are you
Timothy.
sure it's Silas? I'm looking at my Bible here right now, and it doesn't say Silas. It says Silvanus. Paul and Silvanus and Timothy. I'm wondering if in some translation it says Silas.
So, yeah, it's possibly a
Let me see here.
sort of the, I don't
Paul
know,
and Silvanus, Paul
Greek
and
versus
Silvanus.
Latin pronunciation or something like that.
I don't know.
possibly.
I think I'm
You can take this up with Shell when she is back. She's
Yes.
the mastermind behind the quiz questions.
Yes. It's Silvanus. Oh, interesting. In the New Living Translation, it says Silas.
Okay.
But in alternate, I'm wondering if Silas is a nickname for Silvanus. It might be. There you
Well,
go.
shout out to Mark and Davo and Janelle, who gave us correct answers
Yeah, well done.
for that
Okay.
question.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.